Have you ever pictured Batman as a musician? How about Batman with any sense of rhythm at all? Well, that was the first thought for the team at Rocksteady Games back in 2007. They wanted to make a Batman-themed rhythm-based game, where enemies would come at Batman and he would have to take them out to a specific rhythm. And Eidos Interactive loved that idea, instantly putting Rocksteady at the top of their studios to develop the next Batman game. Clearly, throughout production, Rocksteady changed direction slightly and focused more on the exploration and Metroidvania aspects of the game, but that's not to say that combat has taken a backseat. In fact, I think quite the opposite. You can still feel some of the rhythm in the Arkham series core. Sure, you can mindlessly punch and counter enemies, but time them correctly with the sounds or the visuals, and you'll obtain perfect critical hits every single time. I've played through all 4 major Arkham releases multiple times, and I can without a doubt say that the most memorable thing in those games is the combat. When you take a hiatus from the game and suddenly crave the brutal throat punches and counters every single October, it's like clockwork. But other than adding in gadgets or takedowns, did the Arkham games really ever evolve their combat throughout their entries? I would argue not. The games have always had an attack, a counter, an evade, and a stun button. From Asylum to Night, the only real innovations we received were the abilities to quickly use gadgets while in combat, or drastically increasing the speed so that you feel less like a beefed up muscle man in a bar fight, and more like a literal specter dashing through the air to attack your next target. While exhilarating and clearly enough of a drug to keep players coming back year after year, I believe this is where Spider-Man wipes the floor with its competition. While the Arkham games have almost perfected their combat to a point where it becomes muscle memory more than interactivity, Insomniac's Spider-Man games turn a game of checkers into 4D chess. No longer are you limited to fighting on the floor or specific gargoyles. You can uppercut enemies where their friends can't touch you. You can web zip around as quickly as you'd like, stick to walls and use those walls as vantage points. You can truly master the movement of having web shooters. You begin to understand how Spider-Man will move and dodge, and it no longer feels like a semi-truck dodging a collision, and feels more like a jumping spider strategically planning out his trajectory. While the Arkham games have such a refined combat system that players could pretty much do it in their sleep, Spider-Man allows for so much variation in height, gadgets, speed, and difficulty that allows for so much error. In Batman, the worst thing that can happen to you in combat is that you lose your combat streak and it slows your speed down, but you're never ganged up on multiple enemies at a time or really at a disadvantage. In Spider-Man, you can be in your flow and looking like the real Spider-Man, but if multiple enemies aim their guns at you and you mistime your dodge, that could mean game over. With an increase in variety comes an increase in consequences. Does this inherently make Spider-Man the better game? Absolutely not. In fact, I think they're drastically different games in actual gameplay. Batman is slower, more methodical. Spider-Man feels quick and like a true test of your abilities if you allow it to. However, I do think that this Spider-Man would win in a fight against Arkham Batman. Fight me.